What if you could describe a website in plain English and actually watch AI build it? Today, I'm showing you 8 tools that can take you from almost nothing to a real website.
Imagine you have an idea for a website or even a complete web app, but you don't know where to start. You could spend weeks learning how to build it, or you could simply describe what you want. That's where Lovable comes in. You can describe your website or app in plain language, and Lovable turns that description into a working project. And it's not limited to creating a pretty homepage. Lovable can create the front end, back end, authentication, database, and integrations needed for a real application. You can even start from something you already have: a screenshot, a Figma file, a Notion document, or simply an idea. Then you can keep chatting with the AI to change the layout, rewrite the copy, modify functionality, and refine the experience. And when you're happy with it, you can publish it and connect a custom domain. So if you've always had an idea for a SaaS product, portfolio, marketplace, or business website, but never had the technical skills to build it, this is the kind of tool that can get your first version moving incredibly quickly. But Lovable isn't the only tool taking this approach. The next one gives you another way to turn a simple description into a working web application.
Website 2, Bolt. Sometimes you don't want to start with a blank editor. You want to tell AI what you want and immediately start building. That's the idea behind Bolt. You can use natural language to describe a website or web application and let AI generate the project for you. The interesting part is that you're not just generating a static design. You're working towards something interactive that you can continue modifying. So imagine you want to build a small booking platform. Instead of manually creating every page, form, button, and interaction, you can describe the experience you want and let the AI create the first version. Then you can continue the conversation. Change the colors, add a dashboard, create a login page, make the mobile layout better. That's where these AI builders become interesting. The first generation doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to give you something real that you can improve. And for developers, designers, students, and entrepreneurs, that can dramatically reduce the distance between an idea and a working prototype. But what if you're less interested in building the entire application and more interested in creating a really polished user interface? That's where the next tool takes a different approach.
Let's say you have an idea for a dashboard, landing page, SaaS interface, or web application. You know what you want it to look like, but creating all those UI components manually could take hours. That's where V0 becomes useful. Instead of starting from a blank canvas, you can describe the interface you want and use AI to generate the UI and application code. This makes it especially interesting when you're focused on the visual side of a product. You could ask for a modern SaaS dashboard, then change the layout, add a sidebar, create a pricing section, add charts, change the styling, and keep iterating until the interface looks closer to what you imagined. The big advantage is speed. You're not manually building every component just to see whether the idea works. You can generate a starting point and refine it. And that makes V0 particularly useful for developers who want to move faster and designers who want to turn concepts into functional interfaces. But there's another question. What if you don't just want to generate the interface? You want one environment where you can build, code, test, and deploy the entire application.
Website 4, Replit. This is where Replit becomes interesting. Replit has been moving toward an AI-first development workflow where you can describe what you want to build and use AI to help create the application. And the important difference is that you're not simply looking at a generated mockup. You're working inside a development environment. That means you can build the application, inspect the code, make changes, test it, and ultimately deploy it. Imagine you want to create a simple client portal. You could describe the features you need, let AI generate the initial project, then continue refining the application as you discover what works and what doesn't. For someone learning to code, this can also be useful because you can see how your idea translates into an actual project. And for experienced developers, it can help reduce the amount of repetitive work between an idea and a functioning prototype.
But if you're building a website where visual design is the priority rather than application development, the next tool takes a very different approach.
Website 5. Framer. Framer is particularly interesting if you care about how a website actually looks and feels. Its current AI workflow lets you describe a website, page, or update and have AI create editable pages, sections, copy, and visuals directly inside the Framer canvas. And that's the important word here, editable. You're not getting a screenshot of a website. You're getting a website that you can continue designing. You can change typography, adjust spacing, modify breakpoints, change sections, add effects, manage CMS content, and publish the finished site from the same platform. Framer has also introduced AI agents that can work directly on the canvas, helping with everything from page creation and responsive layouts to CMS and custom components. So if you're a designer, creator, freelancer, or business owner who wants AI speed without giving up visual control, Framer is worth exploring. But what if you don't care about having a highly customized design and simply want a business website?
Website 6. Durable. That's exactly where Durable makes sense. Durable is built around a very simple idea. Tell it what kind of business you're running and let AI create the website for you. The platform can generate a business website, write the initial content, and help optimize the site for search. And the workflow is intentionally simple. Generate the website, customize it, publish it. You don't need to understand HTML. You don't need to design every section from scratch. And you don't have to spend hours figuring out what content a local business website should even contain. That makes Durable especially interesting for small businesses, freelancers, consultants, agencies, and people who need a professional online presence without turning website creation into a major project. So if your goal is simply, I need a website for my business and I need it today, Durable is one of the tools worth checking out. But what if you specifically want your AI-built website to live inside WordPress?
Website 7. 10Web. This is where 10Web takes a different route. Instead of creating a website inside a completely separate website ecosystem, 10Web focuses on building AI-powered WordPress websites. Its current platform uses an agentic system with specialized AI agents handling different parts of the website building process, including planning, design, development, content, SEO, testing, and infrastructure. You can start with a prompt, and the system can generate a multi-page website with a WordPress backend. Then you can continue editing the site through its visual editor. And because you're working with WordPress, you can also use the broader WordPress ecosystem for plugins, content, and e-commerce. That makes 10Web particularly interesting if you're already familiar with WordPress or want the flexibility that comes with it. So now we've covered full stack builders, UI generators, visual website builders, business website builders, and WordPress. But our final tool is going in a completely different direction. It's for people who don't want their website to look like every other website on the internet.
So now you have 8 completely different ways to go from an idea to a website. If you want an AI builder that can take you toward a full-stack application, Lovable is a strong starting point. If you want another conversational approach to building web applications, Bolt is worth trying. If your priority is generating polished interfaces and web UI, V0 takes a more design-focused approach. If you want an AI-assisted development environment where you can build and deploy, Replit gives you that workflow. If visual design and creative control matter most, Framer is a great option. If you simply need a business website quickly, Durable keeps the process simple. If you want AI-powered WordPress development, 10Web takes that route. And if you want something more experimental and visually ambitious, Dora is the one to explore. But here's the important part. You don't need to learn all 8. Pick the one that matches what you're actually trying to build. And if you want me to take one of these tools and build an entire website with it from scratch, comment the tool name below. I'll pick the most requested one for a complete step-by-step tutorial. If you found a tool you didn't know about, hit like, subscribe to Nichezy, and share this video with someone who keeps saying, I want to build a website, but I don't know how. Because the barrier to building websites is changing fast, and the next website you build might only be a prompt away. I'll see you in the next video.